Hey there, this is Melissa with you again, and we are on a week five's presentation. And this one I have named Classical versus New Age. I will be discussing here some similarities and differences between the original theories and theories of the 1960s through 1970s. Some of the concepts that I will be covering here are federalism, the study of human organizations, dichotomy, as well as some of my thoughts on these concepts. Uh, to begin with, I'd like to cover federalism. So, with federalism, this one I kind of just wanted to lay out the foundation. It seems like uh, Morton Grodson's was consistent with cooperative federalism. So, what I see a little bit of this is that at the very beginning, we had a simplified layer of federalist type of government. Through time, after the New Deal, based on more complex interactions between the government, it became more complex, and so did the behavior of these types of organizations. So Grodson explains the shared functions of local, state, and federal governments and how everyone is working together to carry through this complex integration of all governments. Grodson gives the example of like the sanitarian wearing different hats to perform job functions. A second concept I was interested in was the study of human organizations for administration. So, whether old or new, we see theories wanting to use science-based rationale in order to carry government function. However, there's some differences in how they use science. So, early theories used a systematic approach to trying to figure out how to run public office. Kind of like they kind of did it like in a way like math, where it was simple and common in a common sense approach. And we see this a lot with Weber and Frederick pushing these prescriptive rules in order to have officials carry through their duties. Now, the new theories, however, began to account for environmental factors, and they were accepting the dynamic type, or at least a dynamic personality of these organizations, like those described in Kahn and Kotz, where behavioral science was pretty much the focus in describing these human organizations. So finally, the last concept I'd like to discuss is dichotomy. This one was interesting because it was like doing a 180. The early theories strongly believed in separation of politics from administration in order to promote neutrality. I mean, that was the whole purpose of it, to define the role of the administrator and who wouldn't be influenced by politics. So, as a New Deal came about and cooperative federalism came into play, we see the theories like from Dwight Waldo, where he states that politics are closely tied with administration and that it isn't necessarily a bad thing. Uh, so, kind of switching gears on the dichotomy part, one of the interesting things that I noticed was how both Woodrow Wilson and was it Morton Grodson's? It could have been the other fella. But the point is that they describe a charismatic leaders establishing organizations. So Woodrow Wilson talks about like politicians needing that charisma in order to lead those who need to be led, like the public. And then there's the other leaders for organizations for starting new bureaus that you need these charismatic people in order to start these new bureaus and develop them into large, or what their role is in developing them into large departments or organizations. Overall, what is it that I think? Well, I think that perception changes through time, this is due to outbreaks in not outbreaks but breakthroughs in behavioral science, and a lot of factors that influence human behavior. I mean, they can include anything from trends to ideas, cultural differences. And again, one example would be how federalism evolved through time, from the time that it was separate from federal and state, where they were having very little overlap between state and federal, and going through the cooperative type of federalism and whatnot. So I think at the end of the day, what's important is that we don't make the same mistakes. That we can adjust easily based on our environment, like Kant and Kotz mentions in his theory. This concludes my presentation. If you have any questions or comments or any areas of improvement, please let me know. I did include a little bit more pictures from the last one. Thank you for those comments. And everyone, have a great evening.